Okay, here we have two different robotic fish. On the left we have the HexBug AquaBot, and on the right we have the Zuru Robo Fish. So they're both very similar kind of design. They're both battery powered robotic toys that actually swim in water. So I'm going to drop them both in and let's just see them go. I've actually had the AquaBot for a little while now, and its batteries aren't perhaps totally fresh, but certainly he's still swimming well. And the RoboFish is quite new and has been proved to be a very attractive looking clownfish, and certainly in this 9 litre, which is sort of circa 16 pints fish tank, we've got a good chance to see the fish utilise the full depth. And certainly the RoboFish has managed to already nosedive to the bottom. The AquaBot fish is slightly more buoyant. And one thing I've noticed over the time with the AquaBot fish is you need to knock those little air bubbles off. So if it has got a collection of air bubbles on the actual body, they need to be tapped off just to allow it to do the dives when it's doing its main tail flap and flip. So I'm going to just check as it goes around. It looks like it's okay, should be fine, but I can just see it. A few, there we go, tap them and a little prod just to make sure the last bubbles are off. Now then, so what you've got here is the two fish have got their magnets together. So they've got very small electromagnets in the very tail of the back of their bodies, and this is how they actually work the tail motion. They've got two electromagnets that are alternately given power to enable the tail to then flip, because there's a little metal or magnet in the tail that is then drawn to each side. And if these fish get too close together, like they have done there, they're catching. Now the RoboFish is bullying the oh, they managed to free themselves. That's quite nice to see. Normally I find that they stick together when they're in the same direction and they aren't able to separate themselves too well. So that's quite nice. Both fish are going in different directions at the moment, and they're both at the moment doing quite a good dive. They almost headbutt themselves there, but the AquaBot fish was able to drift a little bit away from the sides. So I do find the AquaBot fish utilising more of the space of the fish tank. The RoboFish is very much more against the sides. So let's just see whether either the fish, without clashing or colliding, are able to change directions. I think that's one feature that I've only really seen with the AquaBot fish. The RoboFish is very good at diving and then coming up and being buoyant, but I've not seen it ever change direction in all the time I've been watching it. Now, obviously this is a head-on collision here. Let's see where the magnets collide. No, they don't. So I think I've been a little bit unlucky with the magnetic tails attaching to each other that we saw earlier, but it's something you've got to be wary of. Certainly can happen if you have a number of these in a small tank. However, some of the head-on nudges and collisions are what makes the movement and the interaction and the overall effect of a goldfish bowl more realistic. So, you know, from a distance, I think if you can ignore the light tapping sound that you're getting as the fish are touching the side of the fish tank, I think overall you would say you've got a clownfish and a goldfish in this fish tank, and you really wouldn't take a second glance unless somebody said to you, they're not real fish, don't feed them. So I think you can see both of them are working very well, and I think very much your decision on which fish is best, I think, is pretty much down to how they look. So if you want a fish that looks realistic, like this clownfish here, he's looking at the camera now, which is very good of him, almost turned around, didn't quite make it, then certainly the RoboFish with its more traditional design and styling is the one for you. If you want a fish that you can see the mechanism working and the very bright colours that HexBug often make with their toys, then the bright, almost luminescent orange might be the fish for you. Now, they've both got battery cutout techniques in operation. So the RoboFish says after 4 minutes it should stop swimming, and the AquaBot says after 5 minutes. So I'm actually going to let this video play out for a full 5.5 minutes, just to make sure that those work, and you can see what happens when they do stop swimming and how easy it is to reset them, i.e. bring them out the water, let them turn themselves off, and then pop them back in again. Now, okay, the RoboFish knocked AquaBot, so he's been turned around by interaction, which is part of the fun, part of the reason why you want more than one fish in a fish tank. I was hoping to see one of the fish, and I've certainly seen the AquaBot do it before, where it actually does a very slow sidle up and drift with its nose on the tank, and I've seen it turn around in this fish tank. which I was hoping to help you see there, but haven't been quite so lucky. Now the video's been running for 5 whole minutes. Now it was only about a few 20-30 seconds of talk before Robo Fish went in, so I'm expecting him very soon to cut out. So maybe he'll do one last fantastic swim before he does. Now interestingly, the AquaBot pretty much on cue at 5 minutes 20-25 seconds has stopped flapping, so that's exactly what you'd expect. He's floated the surface, so easy enough to grab, which is nice. I'm going to take him out, shake him a little bit, and what you'll see now, it's hopefully the sensors have been uncovered, so the sensors on both sides of the fish, and I should be able to drop him back in the water and he should start swimming again. And sure enough, there he goes. So his 5-minute timer is pretty much very accurate, in fact, and the Robo Fish doesn't seem to know what 4 minutes is. He's clearly having far too much fun, and we're into 6 minutes length video already, so he's certainly been in the water for more than 5, so perhaps his timer's not as accurate as the HexBug timer, but certainly I'd like to see him stop swimming soon, just so that we know that there's the battery saver option in operation here, which I think is quite important for children, because if they do just leave their fish playing in the fish tank, yeah, they're going to watch it, they're going to like enjoying the fish swimming around, but if they walk out the room, do you really need the batteries just going flat when the fish are unattended? Probably not. And fish coming in and out of the water, you don't want to store them in the water, you want to keep them on their stand or on the side on the windowsill to dry when they're not in play and not in use. So the last thing you want to do is just to leave these constantly in a fish tank swimming around until the batteries get flat. That isn't the idea, and certainly having a timer in them makes a lot of sense. So you can certainly see from the style of swimming and the way that they can both dive and both have a good buoyancy and a good range, they're certainly both very good swimmers. They both pretty much swim the same. I think the Robo Fish is very much more into ups and downs. I think the AquaBot likes to be a little more sedate in what height it's swimming at. So it can be at the very bottom, it can be in the middle, it can be at the top, but it's certainly not as fast a swimmer as Robo Fish. And yeah, it's got an older battery, slightly flatter. But when the Robo Fish does do a kick and a flip and a flap, boy, it really rockets through. So maybe a little bit more aerodynamic than the AquaBot as well. Hopefully this video is giving you plenty of opportunity to see which you feel is the better swimmer, which is the right fish for you. Certainly the look and style is a big part of that. They're both very good robotic fish. I'm able to get the AquaBot for half the price of the Robo Fish, so there is a price factor here. Currently in the UK the Robo Fish is £10 and the AquaBot is only £5. So although you do get an extra stand and the Robo Fish comes with a second set of batteries, they both come with one set. Does that make this Robo Fish twice as good as an AquaBot? You've got to decide. I hope this video has helped you with the purchasing decision. Please feel free to like, subscribe and comment.